Humans of the cardboard. I've been in the lab, and I think I've concocted the one card of ninja support that will actually save the archetype, or at least cover up most of the weaknesses that I have found with the deck. So, let's get into it. I love ninjas. I always have. It's actually like for my entire time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Been one of my favorite archetypes, especially aesthetically, but they hadn't been super playable for a lot of the time that I had been messing around with the game, specifically the last couple of years. Fast forward to now, we get Darkwing Blast, which had, what, 7 or 8 brand new cards, completely revamped the archetype. It wasn't fully there yet, and now we have 4 more new cards in Photon Hypernova that fully push it into a legit playable strategy. Like, I don't want to poo-poo this at all. I legit believe that ninjas are a playable rogue deck going into the next format. Now, maybe we might need a little ban list to nick the overall ceiling of the format, bring tier down, bring some of those super high-end decks down a little bit. But from that point, I do believe ninjas can play, and they are solid. But they do have some key, downfalls that I've noticed in theorizing and testing with the deck over the last couple weeks, kind of anticipating the release of Photon Hypernova. So let's talk about those. So there's 2 main weaknesses that I've specifically noticed with ninjas. The first one being just consistency. Hanzo is by far your best starter. In fact, as you look at the entire archetype, Hanzo might be considered the legit only starter in the deck. That's a problem. So whether it's a card that gets us to Hanzo or something else that can kind of apply as a starter in and of itself, that's kind of something I'd like to address. The second main problem, and something that I noticed very, very early in testing, was even with the new cards, and they are actually solid cards, there's a handful of extenders. So whether we're talking about Mitsu, Tobari, Green Ninja, Kagero, or Baku, they're all decent cards, but they're not great extenders, and that's their role in the deck, is to be extenders. Mitsu just jumps out of the hand. It's a 1-for-1 body, right? Kagero is a neg one that pulls another ninja out of the hand. Green needs you to special summon, but even then he's just a Mitsu. Same thing, just jumps on the board. Baku, you don't even want to draw. It's like Lilybell. It needs to be in the deck, and you need to search it for it to summon itself. And Kagero, is another card that takes your normal summon. So not ideal. All good cards, just not great extenders. And that's something I would really like to see addressed, is like an actual just awesome extender for the deck. Preferably any ninja that would offer itself to equal 2 ninja bodies on the field. Because all of our plays are make Saizo. That's a link 2 ninjas. Maizen, that's a link 2. Or, a contact fusion that takes 2 monsters, 2 ninjas. Or Yaguramaru going second. So it even have good application going second as well. So that's the main focus here, is an extender that allows us to get 2 ninja bodies on the field. So let's get into the specifics. Let's show the card. This is Bingus, the cloning ninja. Trying to keep the name in theme with what we've seen with some of the other new ninja cards here. And I love the name, by the way. The most impressive part of this card entirely is the artwork done by yours truly. Konami, you know where to find me if you want to get a hold of this artwork for when you print this card, in the next core set to go ahead and finish fixing ninjas. But yeah, it's a really cool card. I came up with the idea myself. I think it fits thematically, and I think it helps cover the main weaknesses we talked about just a second ago for the ninja archetype. But let's give a full-on read of this card. Bingus, the cloning ninja. This is a Earth warrior. I mean, it's a ninja. I want it to be a warrior because then it adds a little bit of extra utility to Rhoda inside of the ninja deck, instead of just being a Hanzo tutor. And yeah, its stats are fine. 1500, nothing too crazy. But here's how its effects roll out. Also, level 4 matters just because of stuff like ninjutsu art of duplication. You know what I mean? Being able to tribute it for certain stuff, as well as make the rank 4 blade armor ninja at certain points for extra damage. Could come up. But here we go. This is actually the main bread and butter. Let's read its effects. You can only use each effect of Bingus, the cloning ninja, once per turn. First effect, if you control no monsters, or all monsters you control are ninja monsters and or face down defense position monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. Kind of just stays in the theme with ninjas. I like that it says no monsters, so even if your original play gets messed up, this guy can still extend from hand and still keep you moving, which is very nice, makes him a good flexible extender. Second effect, if this card is normal summoned, special summoned, or flipped face up, you can special summon one ninja token. Now, the stats on this ninja token do really matter for a couple of particular reasons. The new contact fusions, Maizen and Yaguramaru, one of them requires 2 ninjas with different types, and I believe the other one requires 2 ninjas with different attributes. So ideally, this token would have some sort of a little more obscure aspects to it. So I made it a fire fiend. There's not a ton of fire ninjas. There's no fiends, but if it is a token, it's almost like you're summoning a clone, like a shadow clone type situation. You know, making it into a fiend and fire attribute would make it like work with almost anything else that the ninjas have to go ahead and make those contact fusions. It could be something else technically, stat-wise, in terms of that, but as long as it's something that's going to pair most of the time with most lines to go into those contact fusions, it should still be fine at the end of the day. I made it a level 4. Again, that's a decent level to be able to tribute with something like Ninjutsu Art of Duplication, so that's cool. And then 1500, 1500, you're just copying the stats of course, Bingus, because he's the clone. And one more final stipulation, throwing a little Sword Soul drawback on here. While this token is on the field, you cannot summon monsters except ninja monsters. Cannot summon, period. No bestials, no nothing. So I like that it makes this card not necessarily just a generic splash in any deck, because you are going to be locked once you go ahead and summon him, because like I said, if you don't need any monster on the field to summon him, you could just splash him in decks where you're just like, this is 2 bodies without my normal summon. Some decks would take advantage of that, but if it locks you into your next play being a ninja play, that actually does kind of take him away from being just like a super generically applicable card. But all things considered, I think this card does an amazing job at covering both weaknesses. The fact that it's on normal or special summon to give you a token means that it helps you in the sense that even if we can't find Hanzo, this is just a three copies of a card that can be an extender and will hopefully most of the time be an awesome extender. But if not, it's just a 1-card Maizen. The deck does not have a 1-card Maizen. Maizen is your main extra deck monster we take advantage of in this strategy. And for a mid-range deck that's not doing crazy combos, it feels like we should have at least one card, play into Maizen. It raises the ceiling of the deck, it raises the consistency of the deck, and it even raises the utility because you can go Saizo, Maizen, or Yaguramaru depending on the scenario you're currently in. I think this card is perfect. I think it really solves almost all of the ninjas' current problems right now. Maybe not perfectly, but like I said, the goal here is not to make a tier 1 meta threat out of ninjas. The goal here is to make them just a little bit better in their biggest weaknesses. And still be like a solid rogue option, hopefully, for the next little bit of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! To come. In conclusion, not trying to suck the toes of ninjas too hard, but they actually are already in a pretty good spot. I just felt like there was still just a little bit more Konami could do to help them out, and just being a huge fan of the deck for almost my entire time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like I want to do it. So yeah, and plus this was a really fun idea for me. Thought about doing like this kind of series more often here, just kind of taking other archetypes and trying to find one card that like really does it, but also stays fair enough that it feels like it could realistically be printed by Konami, but we'll see. So let me know your thoughts down below, not just on ninjas and where you think this card lands for them and how you think it would fare as far as helping the card or any adjustments you might make to maybe the effects and whatnot. But also, what other archetypes you think would fit this mold pretty well for a series like this? What archetypes could be one good, solid, right card away from being in a really solid spot? So, love to hear your thoughts on that. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.